Hello and welcome to episode 17 of the Lorefield podcast, a Starfield lore and news podcast. I'm your co-host Mitch, along with our wonderful other co-host Lexi. How you been?
I've been good. Also, hello everyone.
Good to hear you've been good. I'm really bad at like that small talk and stuff at the beginning, but that's good. We've got a fun show planned for you today. We'll be taking a good look at Starfield's traits in the first of a two-part series, so you can expect more of that in the next episode, more of those traits. You can speculate with us on what Starfield traits will be and what the activities to get rid of their effects might be. There's some really cool implications there. Starfield's original release date of November 11th has come and gone, and despite the hopes of some in the Starfield world, we have no word on a new release date. Lexi, when will Starfield get a new release date?
Hopefully before December 31st. Well, I hope it's not like 2 months before the game comes out.
We get like a Fallout Shelter thing with Starfield. Todd says, like, it's coming next week. They'd have to forego a physical release, I think, in order to do that. But what if?
I'd be pissed because it'd be a free-for-all or the collector's edition. I mean, it's already going to be a free-for-all for it. But people need to be prepared to get there first.
Yeah, that would be a disaster. And I doubt I'd get one. The what's it called? Scalping? That would be really bad. Jez Corden may have something to say about that release date, but we'll get to that in a little bit. First, we have some comments to spotlight from our last episode. Do you want to say this comment from Melanie Wood?
I will. So they commented, I think the trait removal is good, so that if you pick a trait just to see how it works, but then you are like, this sucks. They give you a way to get rid of the trait, period, so you don't have to either be stuck with it or start a new playthrough. At first I thought Todd meant you could get rid of the negative, but then re-listened to it again and realised it was a way out of the trait, period.
And I thought that was a good comment to spotlight, because I think that's what happened to so many of us, where we first heard Todd talk about this ability to get rid of a trait, and you're thinking you just get rid of the downsides so that you only have the positive effects of the trait remaining. But they took almost a riskier route, and they're saying, no, you're going to get rid of the entire trait. You're going to lose the positive effects. If you want to stop paying your mortgage payment, you can, but you have to get rid of the house too. I think that's pretty cool.
With that though, I do hope they at least let us move our equipment out of it first.
Oh yeah. Are we gonna get like a persistent outpost inventory? I don't know. We have the dream home trait coming up soon, so we'll get all the way into that. But for now, Ad Astra Starfield also pointed out to us on a different note via Twitter DM that we were probably misunderstanding the persuasion system. I don't want to speak for you, Lexi, but I was of the belief that the persuasion meter at the bottom decreases by the point value of whatever you chose, and then you like lose the persuasion minigame if that meter is emptied. But what Ad Astra Starfield suggested, and what I think is probably the case, is that the meter fills up and increases, and when you fill it up all the way, you get a successful persuasion. Does that make sense? It took me a little bit of time to understand it.
I think I do.
What really sold me was the fact that each dialogue option had a plus sign next to the number, and that wouldn't make sense. It's decreasing your meter.
But then if it's adding points, you've got +5, but there's only 4 points.
That is true. Was there a +4 option? Can't remember.
We'd have to look at a picture quickly.
I actually have the video open right now. It was +1, +3, +4, and +5.
Okay.
I mean, that's the very extremely high difficulty, that +5 option, because it's red. So that would be, I'm just following Fallout 4's logic. I'm guessing red is harder to succeed. What I think is really cool about this, though, is that if you use the +1 option or even the +3 medium difficulty option, you can be successful, and the pirate still won't be convinced of what you're trying to convince them of. It's like a real persuasion in the sense that you have to cover multiple points in order to get someone to change their mind. You have to be thorough in your persuasion. I really like this. There's not really any news to talk about since our last episode, but the closest thing we have to it is that Jez Corden, editor of Windows Central and host of the Xbox 2 podcast, stated on a November 4th edition of that show that Starfield may be releasing on the 5th of May. Now, Jez was very clear to emphasize that this is like a rumor about a rumor, and we should not take it seriously, but it's a rumor about Starfield's release date, so we're going to talk about it. May 5th, 2023 is International Space Day. It is a Friday. It follows Bethesda's favored date convention of having the day and the month the same, and it's the day after Star Wars Day, May 4th. Seems like a pretty good candidate.
Well, it's also May the 5th, which sounds like Sith.
I've heard people say Revenge of the 5th, the day after Star Wars Day.
I'm super biased about May because it's my birth year, my birth month. I nearly said birth year. That wouldn't make any sense. But I was born at the end of May, so. Well, it's still May. I could see that, but I'm not expecting it because, again, treat it like a rumor. I don't want to get disappointed again.
It's absolutely fair. But imagine having Starfield fresh for your birthday.
It'd be more like a birthday gift for myself.
That's completely valid. I think my early March birthday is going to be a little too early to be blessed with Starfield. Maybe Redfall. But with May 5th, and it being after Star Wars Day, on May 4th, there's probably going to be a Star Wars announcement, whether that's a new movie, a new Disney Plus series, or, best of all, a new game. I'm still waiting for Ubisoft's massive Star Wars game to be revealed. But the point there is that sci-fi is going to be fresh in people's minds. They're going to get this new Star Wars trailer. They'll be thinking, wow, I really want to play a sci-fi game now. Well, hey, guess what? Tomorrow, Starfield comes out. It could be really good for them.
And then I'll realize Starfield is a masterpiece. And then they won't want the Ubisoft stars. I'm completely joking about that.
Ubisoft Star Wars. I will preach about that game till the end of time. It's going to be great. I feel like people don't talk about it enough. But Starfield, we've got traits to talk about. So what we're going to do, for most of them, we know their descriptions. So we'll talk about what the trait is, the positive and the negative effects. And then we're going to try to guess or infer how we might be able to get rid of the trait. And that's going to be the juicy bit, I think. So we'll get creative. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Alrighty. Do you want to read Alien DNA?
I sure will. So alien DNA means one of your parents is an alien. And that confirms aliens exist in the game.
You got it.
Yep, brilliant. Of course I'm joking. There's gonna be no alien. There's gonna be no kinds of aliens like humans. Hopefully they exist in Starfield. Or existed. But the alien DNA trait, the description is, you volunteered for a controversial experiment that combines alien and human DNA. As a result, you start with a higher health pool and greater endurance, but healing items aren't as effective. Now, does this mean we can be half Ashta? Or part Ashta?
They are aliens. I feel like because this is part of like character creation, it's just something you like check. I don't know how much say we'll get in what that alien DNA means. But do you remember in the demo there was that whiteboard that had like a really scary looking alien creature, and there was like a DNA double helix on the whiteboard? It was just on the screen real briefly during the lockpicking scene.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's the alien that we are merged with.
I suppose it could also be up to the player. Like a role-playing kind of thing.
Oh, where they like leave it open?
Mm.
Or are you thinking like an in-game thing where you specify, like get a choice?
Just like open, like not a choice. I think that'd be more definitive. But it's up to you, like how you want to write your character. You just it's in your head, or you write. If you write down your characters, you can write it down.
Yeah, I really, really like that idea. Because while writing out my character's background, like backstory, and coming up with like my character's own lore set, I guess, that's not something I've done. I've seen a whole bunch of people like share their character background stuff, and it's so cool how you have this whole story of where they grew up, where they're from. So I could totally see that working into a Starfield character's backstory, or like you were part of an experiment with this creature in Ashta. You're 10% Ashta or something like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
So how might we get rid of alien DNA? Because that seems pretty entangled in our bodies. I don't know how we'd get rid of that.
I'd assume we inject human DNA. I don't know.
Hmm.
Or they have to. There's a quest to do it, but it's even more experimental. And they'd manually remove it. Or they'd take a sample, and in that sample, they'd create an antibody that would. I don't know. I mean, I don't know this kind of stuff, but I'd imagine they'd create something that would change and like purge out the alien DNA stuff.
I like that antibody thing. Like introduce something that kills if you have Ashta DNA, for instance. Introduce something that kills Ashta DNA. I'm with you that it won't be specified what we're merged with this trait, but it's just as an example, something that's toxic to only that creature's DNA. So that when all that's killed off, you're fully human again. And then really what matters from a gameplay standpoint is you end up having the regular health, regular endurance, so that'll decrease a little bit, but healing items now have the regular level of effectiveness. Next up, we've got Dream Home. This is one, I mean, we were already getting into it. There's so much to talk about with this one. I love it. Dream Home, you own a luxurious, customizable house on a peaceful planet. Unfortunately, it comes with a 50,000 credit mortgage with Galbank that has to be paid weekly. This was originally called Starter Home, and then in the Constellation Questions video, the name got changed to Dream Home. So 50,000 credits. We don't know what that's worth. I'm guessing there's going to be some pretty intense inflation that has happened, and we're going to be dealing with a lot more credits across the board. So everything will cost more credits, but quests will be giving us a lot more credits than Fallout or or Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, this one's like the one I've got the most to talk about. So what happens if you miss a payment? What do you get, like bailiffs come chase you? I think we've talked about half of this before, but like you get space bailiffs.
Hired thugs.
Yeah, and they like take away Vasco. They like Doc and they steal him.
I think I also might have said this on a previous episode, but is that where the Crimson Fleet comes in? Could the Crimson Fleet be the debt collections agency?
Well, I
in the
don't know.
Wayland
I'm not
sense?
sure how mortgages work in real life, but I think if missing a payment isn't an immediate repo of the property, and I could be wrong because I've just never had a mortgage.
Oh, you're right for sure.
I don't know, but I'd assume it's like a loan. You do get into trouble for it, but obviously, if you've been paying, you've still got to, you know, you need to reschedule the payment because you were too busy in the home and you weren't doing your quests, but you were just enjoying it so much. You were building a nice farm, a settlement around it, and you forgot to make money. I mean, that's not going to be me. Like, I'm going to leave the house, like, as a dump until I've made 50,000 and just relax. Wait, actually, I've already said what I'm going to do is I'm going to resource farm for my first 2 hours as constantly. Or the resources I can get.
Oh yeah, that's
So when
when
I
you said.
do start building, I just have all the resources I need.
I think it's so funny when you said in the first 3 hours of the game you're gonna Google how best to resource farm.
Yeah.
That info won't exist yet.
I'm just gonna
That's
go
funny.
to planets and just like mine with my laser.
Yeah, that stuff will be worth money. We don't know how much, but
No, I'm gonna use it for building. Oh yeah.
oh, there you go.
I'll do a quest. Like there's like quests I can do on a planet, I'll do that. Sure there will be. There'll be like a elderly couple that you need to help.
I wonder with the mining laser and stuff. So obviously all the stuff you can mine is going to be worth different amounts of credits. Iron, I imagine, will be pretty invaluable because it's common, at least on Earth. Probably in the settled systems it will be too. What about something like uranium? That's hard to find on Earth. I don't know about its availability in like the whole universe. It could be super common elsewhere. But maybe there's going to be some elements that are only on a few planets, and if you can farm them, you'll make a ton of credits. Like my credit mortgage this week was paid entirely by 2 pounds of uranium or something.
Well, I don't know. Uranium isn't like that rare though, right? I mean, it's a rare earth element, but there's quite a lot of it in human possession.
I think so. That might not be the best example.
Yeah, because I mean, look how many nukes there are in the world.
Yeah.
And also they use uranium in reactors. And there's a lot of nuclear reactors that rely on uranium, so I think it is still a rare earth element, but I don't think it's ultra rare that hardly anyone can use it. Although, like you say, maybe it's more common on certain worlds.
Yeah, we shall see. And that's really, and Bethesda can do whatever the heck they want. I mean, if uranium's the most common element in the real universe, they can make it rare if they want to, you know?
Yeah. Or there could be new elements that physically can't form on Earth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Because I believe New elements are created when stars die. Or at least that's how the elements started being created. But then the old system's only 50 light years, so I can't imagine there'd be that many new elements, if any.
You are exactly right that elements are formed when stars die. And I didn't even know that. I thought, I guess I had the wrong idea. I was thinking like elements were formed shortly after the Big Bang when everything was just like a cloud of dust.
Nope.
But yeah, it's from like supernova after stars die. That's how gold is here. That's wild.
Yep. So there could be even more elements that were created after our solar system.
Yeah, that's neat. Another question I had about Dream Home is that it says it's a luxurious, customizable home. How can we customize it? Is it like Hearthfire, where we keep using this word modular because it's applied in so many different ways in Starfield, but could it be like a modular thing where you can get a greenhouse over here or over here? Or will it be totally freeform, like a Fallout 4 house where you build it pretty much from scratch? I don't know. Or you can just customize the interior and the exterior set.
So I don't know if they'll make it like Fallout 4 the snap mode, because I mean you could just scrap the entire house and then not pay a mortgage, and then they get the house back, but there's no house.
Maybe that's the activity. Just scrap the whole thing.
The thing I have problems with the Fallout 4 and 76 building is oftentimes a house will be floating somewhere. There'll be a corner that'll be just floating off the ground. And I hope they've kind of gone back and looked at that when you're building, because it just looks weird. And you can't add supports or anything, so it just looks awkward. Then you have to try and find a really, really flat place to put your house. Or if you're someone like me with perfectionism in their building. I don't have OCD, but I like my houses to at least touch the ground, I guess. And
That's a
on
good
all
thing
corners.
to desire. I don't want to make you sad or anything, but if we're dealing with a game with 1,000 planets, 1,000 planet-sized planets, I think that might be a problem still.
No, what I'm wondering is there a system where it will make that bit of land flat? Or will it add stilts to like the floating pieces so it looks like there's some concrete underneath or something?
Okay, I got you now.
So if the game detects, oh, this corner's floating above the geometry, oh, let's place this here. This foundation still, the bottom of the house, to make it look. I don't know, will the houses be in one piece when you're building? Or is it going to be like Fallout 4 where everything's where everything's modular? Like in little pieces.
Yeah. It looked to me like in those leaked screenshots and stuff that it was going to be piece by piece again. You could build however you wanted. And City Skylines, by the way, does like exactly what you were describing, where it changes the topography of the land when a building is built. It works really well, usually. So Bethesda could take notes there.
So the next one is Empath, and the description is: you are deeply connected to the feelings of others. Performing actions your companion likes will result in a temporary increase in combat effectiveness. But performing actions they don't like will have the precise opposite effect. So you'll be worse in combat. So this confirms that companions have likes and dislikes again. But I like the mod where anything you do, they like automatically. Because you can have a common activity that you do and they don't like it. They're like watching you do it.
It is a cool thing to bring back. I do think there was a missed opportunity, though. So, empath, you're deeply connected to the feelings of others. Why is there not a mirror trait called psychopath that does the opposite? Performing actions your companion likes decreases your combat effectiveness, and performing actions they don't like increases your combat effectiveness.
That could be one we haven't seen.
True, but if it was in this build, I think it would probably say cannot be combined with psychopath perk at the end.
I mean, there could be a sociopath trait, but yeah, like you said, it would probably show it. I mean, they are changing things though.
Yeah, like Dream Home's name got changed, and the description changed subtly. I think kid stuff is different. Yeah, so these are all subject to change, and maybe even subject to removal, or new ones being added.
Just a quick note. There's a free Star Collector settler and a United Colony settler. Are you going to choose it?
I think I have to.
Oh, no. Tell me, out of all of these, which ones do you think you're likely to pick?
Freestar Collective Settler. Dream Home is so hard to pass up. This sounds awesome. Though I do always go for a good economic build, where I'm like getting good fortune and high speech, that sort of thing. So maybe I'll pass up Dream Home.
You'd rather build your own, I suppose.
Yeah.
Actually, just quickly, what if you could get your own loan? Oh, that'd be funny. Well, you can get a loan for a house. What if you could get another loan from a different bank? And just stack loans and then not pay them?
I believe that's illegal in real life.
No, I know it's illegal. Well, it's Starfield. There's no consequences. I mean, you might have people after you, but oh my god, you immediately be arrested as soon as you entered New Atlantis or something.
Stop!
You just run into you have to literally, as soon as you touch down, sneak past all the guards just to get to a shop, buy something, and quickly sneak all the way back. It's
I don't know, maybe it's...
that's not going into the show, but that'd be funny.
It is kind of weird, though, that they named the bank Gal Bank. Like, is that gonna be... Can we, like, visit them? Can we get other loans?
Or from other banks. Surely there's others.
Yeah.
Keep getting loans and then just not pay them. Forge new identities.
Drowning in debt.
Yeah, get the Crimson Fleet to forge your own identity.
I'm playing Starfield to escape real life, not have it follow me. So if you're an empath, it seems like that's kind of an innate trait. Trait's the perfect word here. To be deeply connected to the feelings of others. How would you go about getting rid of that?
Murdering someone? I don't know.
That'd probably help.
Would an empath kill someone? Like, you just shoot a NPC? That's probably a quest giver. And they do the Morrowind thing where they just die and you can't access that quest line anymore. There probably will be essential NPCs again, and kids are going to be essential. No doubt about that. Like, the controversy that would come from killable children. Facebook moms aren't ready for that.
What if there's something with like a therapist of sorts where there's just a whole web of dialogue about exploring your feelings and everything and stuff, and if you can get there, you can walk out of that no longer an empath.
No.
No.
I play Starfield to get away from my real life. I don't want to see a therapist in the game. Wait, actually, I
It seems
can't.
like
I kind of do now. Wait, I take that back. No, I want to see a therapist in the game. Maybe it will help like a real therapist, and I can replace a real therapist.
there you go.
Cheat the
That would
system.
be a fun phone call.
Yo, there's this video game and it does therapy really great.
Your services are no longer needed. I have a video game therapist now. But I mean, that's one way, conceivably, that you could get rid of something like your empathy, your excessive empathy.
Or you could kill a companion. That's one way.
It is.
It's not a very nice way, but a way. It's a video game. You're gonna experiment with it anyway. You're gonna put buckets over people's heads again. And you do that in Fallout 4. Is there anything you can put on shopkeepers' heads?
I don't know. I never tried it.
I don't think there was any buckets. I mean, I suppose you could drop some junk buckets, like scrap buckets or something. What were there buckets?
I can't remember. For some reason, I think I remember there being buckets, but they weren't items you could pick up. They were just loose clutter objects that you couldn't make part of your inventory. There was no button prompt to pick them up.
Because I think with Bethesda games, they have like a cone vision in front of them, and that's their line of sight, and that can be covered.
I don't know. I'm really curious how we can stop being an empath.
Hopefully we learn more.
So the next one is extrovert. You are a people person. Exerting yourself uses less oxygen when adventuring with human companions, but more when adventuring alone. Can't be combined with introvert, which is the inverse of that. You have more endurance when adventuring alone, and less when adventuring with other human companions. So once again, this is a lot like empath, where this is an innate quality of a person's personality. How do you just get rid of it?
Therapy, I guess.
That's the only thing I can think of too.
Unless if you're an introvert and you spend so many hours with us companions, then maybe you become an extrovert. And the reason why you can't combine them is because they swap with each other. But then that would take the option out of the player's hands, and they'd have to. But you could switch back technically. You just do the opposite, wouldn't you? If that was the case. But I don't. I think they're gonna. There's just like you go to therapy or something.
For introvert, there's this social phenomena in real life where an extrovert will sort of adopt an introvert. So imagine a quest where you're on Neon as an introvert and you come across this person who's just the life of the party, and they're like, yeah, come on, we're gonna go clubbing together and stuff. So you hit some of the Neon nightclubs with this person, and by the end of the night, by the end of the quest, you're no longer an introvert.
Possible.
And then for extrovert, somebody like shows you a book or something and you find great joy in solitude. I don't know.
Yeah. So should we move on to the next one?
Sure, yeah.
So the next one is hero worshipped. You've earned the attention of an annoying, adoring fan who will show up randomly and jabber at you incessantly. On the plus side, he'll give you gifts. Now, first things first, you are insane if you take this, because he's going to randomly show up. You could be at your house and he'll just randomly show up. You want some alone time, you're doing some farming, he's going to show up and annoy you randomly. You don't know when it's coming, but it's your fault you picked the trait. He'll give you gifts, but will the gifts be worth it? Is it really worth losing your sanity? And I feel like this adoring fan is going to be more annoying than the actual Oblivion one.
Yeah. Just, I guess, for anyone who doesn't know, because this is a Starfield podcast, not explicitly a Bethesda podcast, I suppose. I'm sure almost everyone does. But in Oblivion, Bethesda's 2006 Elder Scrolls 4 game, there was the Adoring Fan. After you completed the arena quest lines, you became Grand Champion of the arena by killing a bunch of people in a duel. And the Adoring Fan follows you around and says, "Can I shine your boots? Back rub, perhaps?" There's just a whole bunch of crazy dialogue with this Adoring Fan, and the Adoring Fan is famously very annoying, and people come up with creative ways to kill him. And now he's coming back in Starfield.
Hopefully not immortal this time. Because in Oblivion, when you killed him, a few days later, he will be waiting for you. But at least in Oblivion, he's a follower. Like the only actual follower in the game. That's not a quest character. He'll carry a torch in dungeons, and that's the only useful thing he's for. But I think how we get rid of this trait is we kill him. Or there's a quest to permanently kill him. Less of a gameplay feature and more of a permanent solution.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of that. No pun intended.
I'm not choosing this fact, but I'm going to watch plenty of YouTube videos.
Yeah. I really hope he has the yellow spiky hair. The stupid haircut that's in the...
I hope it's realistic, though. I hope it's not too memey and it's not too much of a satire. I hope this is a genuine, different character that's taken the same core concept.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it was... it was Juicehead. Friend of the show. I say friend. I love that phrase. It's so funny. But previous guest on the show, and in one of his videos, he was talking about this trait, and he very accurately, I think, pointed out that this is probably based on the real-world experiences of some people at Bethesda.
I mean, the way people talk about Todd Howard, probably.
It is sort of interesting that it says on the plus side he'll give you gifts. Was that something the Oblivion NPC did? I don't think.
I don't believe he did.
So what if there's like a unique weapon that you get out of this?
Is it worth it though? Is it really worth it?
It has to be a really darn good weapon to be worth it.
It has to be a one-hit kill.
Oh, that's really funny. I'm so glad this is in the game, even if I won't take it. I just think that's so neat.
I will watch plenty of YouTube videos, because I know as soon as I press Hero Worship, what the hell is my benefit going to be? I get annoyed to receive gifts. I don't think I could take that risk.
Well, you know what's probably a very valid option here is to have the Adoring Fan until you get a certain gift you want. A few weeks after launch, we're going to know everything he offers. So you could try and get the best thing he offers and then do the activity to get rid of him. You'd probably still have the item.
That's possible. I mean, he's probably just going to give you a couple credits and maybe the odd rare weapon. So the next one is kid stuff, which we've talked about before. Your parents are alive and well, and you can visit them at their home, but 10% of all the money you earn is deducted automatically and sent to them. This will be a horrible one to pay a dream home, because if you want to pay off that loan, you're going to need your money. And paying your parents is going to make that 10% more difficult.
Yeah. The one I always think about with kid stuff is, how are we going to get rid of it?
Well, you know what we talked about before, right?
Yeah.
And your dad watches this, listens to this, so find a way to off your in-game parents. Problem solved, right? Write their death. Maybe that's the quest. Write their death certificate.
What if there's some morally horrific side quest where you are assigned by like the Crimson Fleet on a contract to off your parents?
That would be very, very dark. But I suppose killing them would be dark as well.
Yeah. If they're not essential, my mind will be blown, and it sounds like they won't be.
What? If they bring back the Oblivion poisoning, you could poison their food. What
They take a bite.
I'd do to really test the limits is I'd poison one of their foods or just kill one of them, and then wait for the other one's reaction when they find the body. Because Bethesda always have those when they find bodies, but this would probably be
Yeah.
scripted if they found their significant other dead.
What happened here? Hello.
I'd hope there'd be more emotion. Oh
Yeah.
no, who did this? It's in Oblivion, a guard can murder someone for like going on a rampage and immediately put the sword away and look down and go, "Oh my god, who did this?" And the guard's the one that killed him.
Yeah, I like when they do that. When like you're standing right next to them, you're the only person around, and they're like, "Who could have done this?"
They don't quite do that anymore, but that would be hilarious as an Easter egg in Starfield. That's somewhere.
Any other thoughts on kid stuff?
It seems like a trait that will be pointless. You'd visit your parents maybe once or twice for roleplay scenarios, but what would be the point other than roleplay?
Maybe this fits into the roleplay category, but I think if there are some people who perhaps didn't have parents or whose parents passed away, that could be a really cool trait for them to take.
Yeah, I suppose that would. I mean, I didn't know my dad, but I don't care. So, I suppose it will vary person to person, but I think it's mostly roleplay.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it is like what you suggest. It's people that wish they knew more about their parents, or I don't know. Will we be able to name our parents, or would they get generic Bethesda chosen and approved names? Like the canon sole survivor is called. They're Nate and Nora, the husband and wife. That's their both canon names.
Yeah, I would guess that they have names for dialogue purposes, so they can address each other. But where I think player input will come into play with the parents is the way they look, because that's something Bethesda's done for a very long time now. So you customize your character's face, and then it generates your parents based on how you look.
Fallout 3, it didn't really change much. It mostly changed how your mother looked, who you don't see. There'll be subtle changes on Liam Neeson, but I think he's always an old white guy.
Mm.
I just hope we don't have to take the parents grocery shopping and all sorts chores.
Yeah.
I sit down, have a cup of tea, leave, go away, and then come back a couple years, come back like 10 in-game years later, and they're the same age. Come back 20 more years, they're still there. Come back 50 years later, they're still there. I don't know, unless Bethesda are cruel and they put a timer on them. After so many in-game years, you'll discover one of them died or something.
Oof.
That's sad, but that would make the world feel alive a little bit.
It would, yeah.
And also, gotta remember, 20 in-game years. That's a lot of playtime.
Yeah, I think very few
That,
people would even get there.
but it would add a kind of timer on the world.
Mm-hmm.
People age. I mean, probably not everyone. You know, you're gonna have story characters that are not gonna age. I mean, just like for your, time isn't probably gonna do anything again. That's just like a. Oh, if they could like do that. But it's not a simulator. Actually, we've discussed the time dilation stuff.
We have, yeah.
And
like relativity and all that.
I can't remember. I don't know if someone like if Todd talked about it or it's just like a rumor of how the graviton stuff works. Like how exactly it functions. Or we can cut this out if it doesn't jog a memory or anything.
I think Oda was onto something about that.
Yeah, the way it gets around time dilation. It's not actually light speed.
Oh, because it's like a wormhole thing.
Yeah.
Like punching a hole through space rather than sailing over it. Mm. So yeah, those are the traits we've got through Hero Worshipped. We have several more to get to, but like I said at the beginning, we're going to break this up into a two-parter. So you can expect us in a couple weeks, I think with a guest, and we'll talk more about that, but we've got some exciting stuff coming down the pipe. Details to come soon. But to wrap this show up, we've got recommendations. This month I'm going to recommend Bully, actually. Bully by Rockstar Games. Bully came out in 2006 for the PlayStation 2. A remaster of the game came out a few years ago. Basically, it's just an open world, almost like a life sim, where you're going to this private school in the UK, and you have to attend classes, and you have to deal with the whole social situation of bullies. And there's some light, very light RPG elements with like, I think you have an inventory and stuff. A little bit more involved in that sense than like GTA 5, for example. So yeah, it's just a cool game, unique setting. People have been clamoring for a Bully 2 for a very long time now, and it sounds like they were working on it at some point, but it's not in active development anymore. But it's a good game that a lot of people, especially younger people, haven't heard of. Fun little open world to explore. So yeah, Bully 2006 from Rockstar Games.
My recommendation is going to be Subnautica. Now, I'm someone who has thalassophobia and the fear of shipwrecks as well, or man-made sunken objects. And Subnautica has both of those. So I'm surprised I even beat it. And I still have the fear. A lot of people with both those phobias will not touch the game. But I've braved it. And I was terrified every second. It's a great survival game though, I've got to say. Like, there's basically no weapons, so all you've got is you have you can build something called a stasis gun. and you can basically freeze enemies to try and get away. And it's got a quite good story. There's a lot of mystery to it, and there's lots of credible storytelling. So yeah, Subnautica. You definitely go and play it. It's one of those great indie games that comes every now and again. Really, really good ones.
Awesome. I've only played it for a few hours, but I'm blown away by the art style of the game. I love the vivid colors. I think the ship off in the distance is really cool. Isn't there like a big giant ship on the surface? Off in the
Yes.
distance?
There's a lot of underwater bases, and underwater structures. And actually, Below Zero actually has a giant underwater space wreck, like a spaceship crashed. Kind of cool.
That's awesome. Great pick. So that was episode 17 of the Lorefield podcast. We'll be back in a couple weeks, like I said, with episode 18, and you won't want to miss that one because we'll have some cool stuff to share. In the meantime, though, you can find us on Twitter at LoreFieldNet, where we share news, analysis, and finds about Starfield. You can also join us at the Lore subreddit, r/Lorefield, where Lexi made a great post the other day about the cause of the colony war. We're always looking for new members over there, and it'll be a great place to discuss lore as we get closer to release. We're on YouTube as Lorefield. You can subscribe for all of our podcasts and some other video content in the future. And we have a Discord, which Lexi has worked very hard on the back end to make it a great place for lore discussion. As we get closer to release as well, join us and some really great members of the Starfield community for lore discussion and more over there. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye all.